group, this really helped me get to the next level, which is you want to have staff or people who are helping you that are that you don't have to worry about. That's the best advice I've ever heard. I've always heard that you want to, if you will run out of time, right? So you only have so many hours in the day. Eventually, if you want to scale, you need to get employees. So I've always, since I started, tried to do that. Always tried to hire people to help me, staff, etc. But I've never been able to have any of them work without me worrying about them. So that advice of having employees that you don't have to worry about is very different than other kinds of advice, because in order for you to not have to worry about them, you really need to have your processes in place. You need to understand exactly what it is that they're doing, and you need to have models set up, and it needs to be very clear. So that advice has literally blown my mind. So you pick a model, and this is something that everyone in the chat, please let me know what kind of model you guys are picking. Are you the picker model? I consider picking, thrifting, estate sale shopping, all similar model. And this model is you get the best 50 to 100 items a week that you can, list them to the best of your ability, and that's it. Pretty straightforward. If you want to quit your 9 to 5 with a $1,000 a week profit, that's essentially 100 items at $10 profit, or 50 items at $20 profit. I think you can achieve that if you're a good hunter. So the people who are really good at shopping, want to find a really good deal, this is a good way to replace your 9 to 5 with a different job, the job of picking, thrifting. This is the most common resale job. There are other models like replenishables, where you talk to wholesalers, distributors. That's a different kind of model. It's more business oriented. That kind of model can scale because, in a sense, that you're leveraging that product. So it sells over and over again. You get product A, it might be this water bottle, Swell water bottle, and it sells, once every 3 days. So you sell 10 per month. The next month you add another bottle over and over again until you have a nice array of products to sell. That's a totally different model than picking and thrifting. Your day would look totally different. So the thing is, once you're there, you've maximized your week, and this is how much you can do per week. Then now it just comes down to, can you scale? And for me, I've always had people that I had to worry about. Now I've started to hire people that I don't have to worry about, people who are reliable, people who are on time, people who do the same thing over and over again, dependable people. And for me, there is no price you can pay that can replace that. The peace of mind I have from having somebody else help me is totally different. And they're not going to do it as good as you in the beginning, but you can only expect them to do as good as your systems are. So if, a good rule of thumb is 50% of the level that you can do it at, you can kind of expect somebody else to do it at. So as an example, I use the app Sellhound to list items, and you guys can try it now. I have an affiliate code now, which is Daily Refinement 25. You can get 25% off if you want to try Sellhound. I use that app, and I can do 20 per hour. This is assuming the item is photographed and it doesn't require any repairing or cleaning or testing or steaming. It's ready to go. I can take photographs, upload it in the Sellhound, pack it, and then put it away. I can do 20 per hour. But I only expect my crew to do like 6 to 10 an hour. So that's a little bit less than 50% of what I can do, okay, which is actually lower than you think. So it's just, so that amount is less than 50% of what I can do, but it's very sustainable, and the people working for me can easily keep up that pace. So it's kind of like the minimal effort for people to not get fired. That's sort of where you should set up your business. Their minimal effort equals what your goal is. So this is something I noticed from, you look at people that say, just shut up and hustle. I don't see that at businesses that I'm working at. When you go into Best Buy, are the workers there hustling? Not really. McDonald's, they're not really hustling. They're just doing their job at a normal pace. So I think If you're expecting your worker to hustle and get after it, then that doesn't make sense, because people don't normally do that at jobs that are scalable. They just do the bare minimum to not get fired, and the people still reach their goals. So that made me realize, okay, I'm not looking for a superhero. I'm just looking for a regular person who's reliable and on time. So it's almost like, do you have a good attitude? Can you be organized good enough? I can teach you how to do reselling because it's not that complicated. Geo is doing online sourcing and networking with wholesale suppliers and manual drop shipping. These are two different models that you can choose if you want to resell. One is drop shipping, which is one site to another site. Different items sell for different prices on different sites. You can take advantage of that. Networking with wholesale suppliers is what you would want to do if you don't like listing. A lot of people love listing, so they want to go thrifting, let's say an hour to a week, and then they want to list 8 to 10 hours a week. If you love listing, that's the model for you. A lot of people, for example, will go to the Goodwill outlet or the Goodwill bins, shop for an hour, get 80 pounds of stuff, go home, list all of it with their kids. And another option could be online sourcing, where you could spend 100% of your time with your kids. You don't need to go anywhere. But again, it's more like reading a spreadsheet. Does this, lawn sprinkler machine sell for enough money to make a profit, right? It's a little more soulless, but it depends on what you're maximizing for. Do you want to spend the maximum amount of time with your kid? Then there would be no thrifting. If you thrift, you're minimizing your time with your kids, because you're not really, in my opinion, being present with them if you're taking photographs and listing, because your attention should be on that task. They're physically with you. It's the same thing with online sourcing. But if your priority is just physical proximity to your kid, then you definitely should just do the online model. If you spend a lot of time online, then you can just hang out at home the whole day. You don't need to leave. You can do this 100% at home. Yes, Greg is asking about if Sellhound has any plans of expanding into hard goods. They do. And the reason why they are doing that is because they started with clothing, is because you need to start with one category and get really good at it before you move to other categories. But they are testing different products right now. So that would be useful. Why use Sellhound? This is a really good example. So Sarah Styles LLC, she's in the chat sometimes. She was in here earlier while I was having technical difficulties. She was saying that it takes her 2 minutes to take photos and 2.5 minutes to do the drafting part of eBay. This is where you go sell similar, find an item, look it up, add in the photos. That takes 2.5 minutes. 2 minutes for photos, 2.5 minutes for listing the item. So I consider that already pretty fast. But with Sellhound, it only takes 1 minute. So instead of 2.5 minutes, you do it in 1 minute. It's streamlined, and you can do it all in one sitting. Some people list and draft in two different places. That would be the reason why you use Sellhound. For most people, you don't need to use Sellhound, to be honest. If you're listing less than 100 items a week, there's no need to use any software. Don't pay for anything. Just do it. If you're doing less than 100 items a week, focus on that. I recommend just selling on one platform if you're doing that, because I would rather you have 100 items listed than 50 items on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. I think a lot of people are confused about how much time they have. If you are in the picker model, I would recommend one platform, just eBay. That's my recommendation if you're going to do just one platform, because if you'd sell on Poshmark, you have to do sharing. You have to worry about parties. It's a little more time consuming. If you have a lot of time, Poshmark is great. You can go on there. You can share every day. But if you're looking for bang per buck, eBay has 100 times more traffic. So you put your eggs in the basket that has the most traffic and doesn't require any sharing. So that's just me. If you're trying to do some volume, great. You want to list a couple hundred items a week. Okay, now you can look in the cross-listing. You can look in the software, because you can actually afford it. If you're doing really, really small volume, I would consider under 100. Just do it yourself. It's not too difficult to just do it yourself. Nurse Flipper is doing 75% online and 25% in person. I like that model because in person is a lot more fun. So you have to balance money versus fun. So this is important to recognize, because just doing reselling for the money might be a bit of a grind. At least if you're interested in the process of selling things, it's a little more interesting. But if you're just doing it purely to make money, I think it's just like the rat race. It's pretty boring. Shrew, I don't know if their app is only for iPhone. I think it's also Android, if I'm not mistaken. So Greg says his biggest issue is not becoming great at one category, but trying to list everything across the board. Here's the thing with that. It's perfectly fine if you're in the picker model because you're not listing that many items. 50 to 100 items is only, 10, 20 hours of listing and prepping. The rest of your time you can work on something else. The problem is if you have a lot of items, like hundreds of items, then it makes more sense to list in just one category because you need to save time. Right? There's people who list 50 to 100 items a day, but it's not 50 to 100 categories. It's usually under 3 categories for the most part. Sometimes just one category. Shout out to Rinzi now on Instagram. They pretty much just sell shoes. That's it. Sure, they might flip something here or there for fun, but the way they're able to list hundreds of pairs a week is from just doing one category. They're very focused, and they're a team of 2 people doing the same thing. It's like quadruple as productive as one person because you can diversify responsibilities and get even better at your goal. So let me give you guys an example. Let's say you're shopping, cleaning, listing, doing bookkeeping, all of that stuff. So you never really get good at any of that stuff because you have to do all of it. If you're just in charge of shipping or just in charge of buying, you can kill it. There's another couple that I know that the husband shops full time because the wife doesn't like shopping. He shops 12 hours a day. She runs the business for 12 hours a day. They have a 2-year-old at home, and she just stays with the kid all day, and she doesn't like shopping anyway, so it works out. He shops, doesn't do anything except for shop. He's just deal hunting all day. She gets it all up. Amazon and eBay, they kill it. But again, it's down to the diversity. This is why 2 people are like 4 or 5 times more productive than one person because they get really good at it. And you'll notice that. I mean, even like as an example, Ryan and Ali, Rally Roots, those guys, it's very different when you look at their day. What happens when 2 people run a business versus one? 2 people who care about the business equally, right? Very, very, very different outcome. And this comes down to the best resale advice I've ever heard, which is from Jeffrey, which is having somebody you don't have to worry about help you. And in order to do that, you have to have your shit together. Sorry for swearing on this channel, but that's just the truth. You have to know what you're doing for someone to help you to be able to trust that person to do that for you. It's not hiring someone. Hiring someone you have to worry about is worse than doing it by yourself. And that's where most people are. Try to hire someone, they don't do a very good job. Ends up costing them more time, more money, more mistakes, more errors, more headache. They give up and they do what Michael Gerber calls get small. They shrink down and, really hurts their business when they do that. What's up, Janet? Do people source via Facebook Marketplace? Absolutely. I'd say Facebook Marketplace is the top source, especially now where you can't go thrifting. You could buy from people, leave money under the door. They leave it on the doorstep. Done. Social distancing, still sourcing. Revolver on the Road is asking, do I have advice for a small brand? I have a few brand pieces as well as retail items, but I also want to resell. Should I have separate accounts on eBay? There's only a couple of reasons why you would have a separate account on eBay, in my opinion. One is you have a theme store. So your store is only shoes. If your username is only shoes, then just list only shoes. Or if you have separate businesses, for me, I have a separate eBay account that's a separate business for a different purpose. That's for a brand, right? I'm trying to build something up. Maybe I can sell that. Actually, I can sell that business and that account to someone else. People say that you can't sell an eBay account. You can't sell a personal eBay account. You can sell a corporate eBay account because the corporate eBay account is a person. In the United States, a corporation has similar rights to a person. You can sell it to somebody else. It's not even related to a person. So it's essentially somebody else owning that person, that corporation. What's up, Janet? You tried selling men's ties from Goodwill, but not much demand. Yeah, I'm not. I have nothing against ties. For me, the ASP is too low. I'd like to be in the $40 range for clothing because otherwise it's difficult. Now, that being said, I have items under $40 in my store in clothing. I just don't list them myself. If I'm going to do it myself, I need a higher ASP to justify my time. But if I have a person working for me, I just need it to be more than I pay them. I don't know if that makes sense, but since I'm not doing any of the work, as long as it makes me more money than I pay them and I don't have to worry about them, then the more the merrier. What are some easy ways to increase profit margins? So the easiest way to increase profit margins is to not think about the easiest way. It's about doing long-term things that improve traction. So if you guys are listening, please smash the like button. I'm about to drop like the most important advice for increasing profit margins ever. Okay, which is focusing on traction. Traction means you're making progress. So in this case, the question is, how do I make more profit, right? So the answer is not actually fast, it's slowly. You would either think about how you can sell the item for more, okay, which is usually not the answer because the market is the market. If something is selling at $25 all the time and lots of people are selling it for $25, you can't just sell it for $30 and get $5 more profit margin. That would not work. What you could do is source it for cheaper. Okay, so sourcing it for cheaper takes a long time. You've got to either move up higher in the food chain, so the distributor is getting it from the manufacturer. You skip the distributor, go to the manufacturer. Even higher than that, you make it yourself for less. Those are the main things. Neither of those are easy. Okay, so the easiest way to increase your profit margin, I guess, would be to charge more, but that doesn't work if the people don't actually buy it. So there's no actual easier way. Now, profit margin, usually people who talk about profit margin are lazy because they're like, how can I just sell one item and make 100% profit, not pay eBay fees, not pay shipping? And those people are usually broke. I wish you had asked, how do I make more profit? Because there's a million ways to answer that. More profit, total profit, usually means smaller profit margins, but more volume. And that would be selling 10 of the same item, maybe for a lower margin, but overall you sold 10 items instead of one. So again, I wish there was an easy way. If my titles are always like kind of clickbaity because I'm looking for people like Christian who want get rich quick stuff. That's like 90% of people want, like, I want to get rich without doing anything. Everyone is like that, right? But that's not actually how it works. I look at all the people who kill it. They didn't get rich quickly. It took some time. They over time they slowly improved shipping, listing, sourcing, and over time it started to kill it. What's up, Dapper Tiger? People are saying like, I do this solo. I guess the question is, there's a lot of solo shaming, like, oh, if you do this by yourself, you'll never go anywhere. That's not true. It's just if you only do it yourself, it's more like a job. That's the only difference. There's no solo shaming. I'm going to be nicer on my channel in a sense that, like, what frustrates me is this. I want to make $10,000 a month by myself with as little work as possible. Doesn't really look like that. Usually the people who earn $10,000 a month do it with help. Usually they have somebody helping them do something. Usually they have a full-time job. If you were to ask me, Chris, what are the traits of people that make six figures on eBay net? Have a full-time job, number one. Number two, they don't do it themselves. Number three, they don't focus on high profit margin. They focus on getting really good at one category, really good at one way of sourcing. Everything is standardized, and they're a real business. They pay taxes. Everything is set up properly. Usually, it's not somebody who randomly lists once in a while, has a death pile, loves to go shopping. That's not the person. People who follow their passion, they love shopping and deal hunting. Usually not. That's a person that makes random profit between $100 extra a month and $2,000 an extra a month usually is the person that loves shopping. Usually when I hear that, I love shopping, I hear, oh man, your business must really be struggling because reselling has very little to do with shopping. After you've been reselling for a while, the inventory part's actually pretty easy. What's up, Bluegrass Picker? Thanks, guys, for joining me on this quarantine evening. It's about to end, so let me know what you guys think of the quarantine situation. There are states that are reopening tomorrow. So that's kind of interesting. Are you guys having slow sales? Let me know in the chat if your sales are slow and why you think that's true. That would be I would be curious to see what's going on with people in the chat. Are your sales slow? Are they not slow? Let me know. Amy, what's going on? Nice to see you. For me, my store has picked up. I'm around 1,300 a day. If you guys want to look at my eBay store, it's under the same moniker, Daily Refinement. I do think it's because people are getting their stimulus checks. So I'm not doing anything different really. So I'm not sure why the sales have bumped up a little bit. But again, I'm really enjoying that. I really like it. Greg, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. So Christian is asking, what are some fundamental ways to optimize shipping expenses, photo equipment? This is a really good question. Okay, so if you're looking for reducing shipping costs, let me back up for a second and be more clear. You can either raise the revenue or lower expenses that increase your profit margin. So here are some ways to optimize shipping materials. So hopefully you guys grab a pen and write this down. 1, cubic shipping. Really important. Use cubic shipping and use FedEx SmartPost on eBay. You can use cubic shipping on a website like pirateship.com. Pirateship.com. That's going to give you access to cubic rates as a non-commercial entity, right? eBay doesn't even have cubic shipping. Cubic shipping, you're going to want to find the cheapest possible way to ship items in bulk, meaning multi-item orders. That's another great way to increase your profit margin. So for example, right now, I made a few changes in my store, some more discounts for multi-item orders. So for example, if I sell a second item for $5, for a $5 discount, it's costing me less than $5 extra to ship 2 of them together. So definitely understanding the way you ship is huge. So minimizing shipping expenses has to do with just understanding the different ways to ship. That's massive. For me, I spend more than $500 a day on shipping. Okay, so Christian, it's ridiculous. Okay, I never need to pay for travel again because of how much money shipping costs. It's like ridiculous. Okay, $500 every 2 days now for shipping. Let's see, photo equipment. Okay, photo equipment. I would say that the best way to maximize your photo equipment, as far as saving money, is to get a photo box. A light box is the best way to save money, because if you are editing photos, it's taking up a lot of your valuable time. You don't have a lot of time. So increasing your profit margin in a sense of increasing your own hourly rate, get photos that don't require any editing or that you use presets. If you have an editor that removes the background or something quickly, that's the best way to do that. And then navigating shipping discounts. At a certain volume, you can work with the post office directly. And that's about 200 orders a day. That's going to save you a little bit of money. And if you look at the big sellers on eBay, usually they sell stuff for $12 and less, and they take advantage of direct shipping with the post office. And usually what that looks like is like, I've seen deals where everything ships priority, even though you pay $6 or $5 per item. Poshmark has this deal. You guys know that Poshmark pays $7.11 for up to 5 pounds. So for me, I love shipping boots on Poshmark because they're close to 5 pounds. That would have been $13 or $14 on eBay, but it's only $7.11 on Poshmark. Ginger says sales are better than ever because she's spending all the time listing and no time sourcing. That's great. I'm going to touch base on something real quick here, which is Some people have a negative relationship with shopping. I'm seeing posts like, Chris, I really need to stop shopping. Stop shopping. And I think that that's a negative way to look at it. You are a reseller. You're supposed to shop. You're supposed to source, find items to resell. Don't have a negative relationship with it. Just do it sometimes and always list more than you buy. It's fine. You should be buying. It's like saying, I don't want to eat sugar. That's nonsense. Why would you not want to have a cupcake once in a while or a donut? Why would you even want to be alive if you can't do that, right? Just have a positive relationship and just do it sometimes, or just exercise a little bit more so that you can do that. So exercise in this scenario is just listing. Yeah, Blue. I think the stimulus is crazy. I think people underestimate like payday. That's a huge, huge thing I wrote down in my journal, which was I underestimated how powerful payday is. Every single payday, my sales skyrocket. They're like double. So people are spending money on frivolous stuff every single time they get a paycheck. So, you know what? I'm adding in some more ridiculous stuff in my store, $200-$300 stuff, and it's selling, but usually on Friday. What label printers have I noticed have a decent ROI with them? I would say none. I've never seen a label printer with a good ROI at volume. Usually sub 10%. Unless you find one at a time that are broken and fix it, then Dymo, Zebra, Rollo, great printers. Gingers. I mean, yeah, it really just depends on your. It depends on your perspective. Hunt Junkie is saying you've been reselling for 2 months and you've learned a lot from my YouTube videos. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have been learning a lot myself recently, a lot. And okay, back up for a second. Sorry, I didn't finish my thought before. So now you need to write this down. The opposite of distraction. Okay, guys, you have to smash the like button because this is huge. The opposite of distraction is not focus. Okay, the opposite of distraction is traction. Okay, this is from the book Indistractable. Incredible book. But the opposite of distraction is traction, meaning you have to make progress. So as an example, Christian is saying, what's a decent ROI? Wrong question. The question is, how do I make more ROI? And then tracking the progress of how you do it the exact way that he asked, which is focusing on shipping discounts, focusing on learning shipping. That gaining more traction is the opposite of distraction. Some people are like, oh, I turned off Facebook. You didn't do anything. That's you didn't make any progress in your business by turning off Facebook. It doesn't matter. Somebody who worked for an hour and then went on Facebook is more productive than you just not using Facebook. And it's really important to recognize that distraction will never go away. Just because you're not doing something doesn't mean you're actually making progress. So traction is what you guys need to focus on. What makes your business have more traction? What gets more customers, more traffic? The purpose of having better pictures would be more people looking at your photos, better trust. What's the purpose of having a return policy? So people trust you. What's the purpose of having fast shipping? Right now, I am doing every single thing you can do to increase traction. Okay, so this is going to blow people's minds, but like free shipping, free returns, a high promoted listings amount, right? I'm also taking the best possible pictures I can, the best title I can, the best description I can, as many platforms as I can. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible to buy from me, and that has increased my sales by 50% just in the last couple of months. It's pretty insane. This new store is at $29,000 a month now. It's less than 6 months old. Just from focusing on what Christian was saying of decreasing shipping costs, improving my sourcing a little bit, here and there, small adjustments. But let me back up for a second. You guys do need a North Star. You need a goal. You need a specific goal to aim at. So my specific goal, every guys put your goal in the chat. My goal is $3,000 a day in sales. $3,000 a day in sales, 1,000 profit. a day. This is the goal that I have for this one-off store. I call it a garage sale store because it has everything in it. Okay, so this store, $3,000 a day in sales, 1K profit. That's the North Star. Everybody needs one of these. Even if this is the most common goal. 3,000 a week, 1,000 profit a week. That's the most common goal. So think about it. If I'm going to sell on Poshmark, if I'm going to sell on Amazon, if I'm going to sell on Mercari, does it get me closer to my revenue goal, and does it get me to my profit goal? So as an example, I'm selling stuff in my store to increase the velocity. I have some stuff in my store that's really, really, really cheap because I'm trying to program eBay to give me a certain amount of traffic because they know the conversion rate will be X. So look at your traffic, look at your conversion, sell through, click through. That's really important because you need to understand your traffic needs to go up. That's the bottom line, guys. Your traffic needs to go up for you to make a certain amount of money. Okay, so what are you doing to make your traffic go up? People will say, okay, I'm worried about being scammed. That's not related to this. It is related to your net, though, because for me, I know that I'm going to get around 40 to 60 returns per month. So I have to put in the chat. Christian said, is it possible to hit your goal numbers working part-time? Most six-figure sellers are part-time. Six figures net, like you net 100K a year net pre-tax. Most of those resellers are part-time because of the best resale advice I've ever received, which is in the beginning of the video, which is having an employee that you don't have to worry about. Most people that work full-time cannot do it themselves, so they have to hire somebody. So that's why. And they also have a little extra capital. So Greg Stewart is saying, how often do I reach that $3,000 goal? The first time I reached that goal was last Friday in this new store. Last Friday I had $3,400 in sales 2 days ago. But I have done that before. The most in 2000, let's say 2 years ago, I had 7 employees. I was doing like 70,000 a month. But this is really important, guys. I wasn't netting as much as I do now. So you can't just have a goal of gross. You need both. You need a goal of gross and a goal of net. That way you can make a little adjustments because I want to be 1/3 profit. So before on 71,000, I think I only made 12,000 that month. My biggest month was 71K. And I think I made between 12 and 14K profit that month, which is horrible not horrible, but like for what I was selling, I consider that low. Now, if I do 71,000, I want to do 24,000 in profit. So it just depends though. And I recognize that in order to do that, there are only certain things that I can sell, certain things that usually have to be pre-owned because new doesn't really work. Crown is asking about drop shipping. Go ahead and put your question in the chat. I'll try to answer it. Great. Nurse Flipper. Amazing goal. $500 in sales per day, $200 profit. That is a really, really good goal. It helps people. So this is really good. Nurse Flipper can understand, okay, I'm looking at this lot. Is it going to help me get the $500 a day in sales and $200 profit? Is this lighting kit going to help me? Usually not, right? You're just looking for things that increase your hourly. Let's see. How many items should a new seller have in their store to see consistent sales? So Sharon, it depends on what they are. If you listed 50 video games, you should have 50 sales by now. If you list 50 clothing items, on average, the clothing sellers only sell 5% of their inventory per month. So that would mean if you had 50 items, you would sell 2 per month on average. So you would have, if you were a normal clothing seller just selling mall brands, in 3 months with clothing, you would sell 6 items with 50 items in your store. Like 6 or 7 items, a couple per month. See, Tommy's awesome. 30K gross, 12K net. Awesome, awesome goal, right? Very clear. So you can then just make decisions on that. And traction is more important than distraction. This is another thing that I have misquoted on my channel. I've been like, hey, you need to reduce distractions. Not really, actually. You just need to increase traction. You can be distracted. Most of the people that I know that do super well, they go on vacations, they have hobbies, they check Facebook. It's not like they have a flip phone and no computer. That's usually not the case. Usually they're just really, really productive, and they just do whatever they want after that. So Ginger is saying the more you have, the more you will likely sell. It depends on the type of items. Josh says, I want to make $300K per year and you hate your job. Your fear is making the jump to self-employment is that you will not be able to replace my income. So I would say don't quit your job ever. Just keep it as a secondary income for reselling. If you're afraid of being self-employed, then you shouldn't be self-employed because there is no guarantee. I don't have a fear of that. Like, I know if this doesn't work, I can go get another job. And if you just, I could probably pay my bills working at Starbucks. So it just depends on what your goals are. Like, if being an entrepreneur there's no guarantees. It's reselling is the closest to a guarantee that you have because you're selling other people's items. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me back up. Josh says he makes $300K a year and hates his job. Okay. See, I kind of have a mixed bag of this. Like Jay Leno didn't like, he likes stand-up and he likes running his TV show. And he lived on one income and saved 100% of his other income. That makes me wonder, Josh doesn't like his job. Would you have, the chances of you making $300K is much higher in a job than on your own. I think that's true. Is that not true? Because I think let's see here where I live, I'd say 10% of people where I live make 300 grand a year as a job. But entrepreneurs, 50% of them don't even make any money. They break even or lose money. So I don't know, Josh. That's a good question. I don't know. Are you more likely to make 300K a year as a job or an entrepreneur? I would say job. From actual people I know that earn that kind of income, most of them do it at work. So I don't know that many entrepreneurs that are at that level. What's up, Swamp Picker? Okay, so Crown Vapor is asking, when drop shipping, how do you know the quantity that is available to you, and what happens when someone makes a purchase and there isn't enough quantity to satisfy the order? Great question. Okay, so let's say you're drop shipping. You're going from one platform to another, right? So you're shopping on HomeDepot.com and reselling on eBay. You sell on HomeDepot.com, you get a sale. You go to HomeDepot.com and it's sold out. What happens? So what happens is you can either fulfill the order by buying it from a different website and getting it to the customer and letting them know, hey, sorry, I don't have it in stock, so I bought it from Walmart to ship to you. Sorry about that. And that way you don't get dinged. But if you have poor service metrics, meaning that happens all the time, you will get suspended because it's not technically something that eBay supports. They don't want drop shipping in that manner. They want drop shipping when you're working directly with an authorized manufacturer. So let's say Swell has a warehouse of bottles. You have an agreement with them. It says 20 available on their site. You sell one. It reduces it from their inventory and they fulfill it for you. That's actually proper. So if you decide to do it that way, there won't be an issue. But having too many cancellations because of out of stock will get you suspended. Yeah, so Mess Hall is saying you may never replace your income, but you will gain time. That's also true. So I don't know what Josh's situation is, but if you hate your job, maybe think about what it is that you don't like about it. And usually people who make that kind of income have very, very high stress. Okay, so that is common. There is usually no like piece of cake 300K jobs. It's usually not the case. It's literally like rocket science or being a surgeon or being a CEO and your decisions are really, really high level. So, you have a lot of responsibility when you make 300K because people are essentially paying you $150 an hour. Yeah, Dapper Tiger saying Robert Kiyosaki loved his low-paying job because it fed his side hustle. I agree with that. What's up, Dapper dude? Jeff is saying, how do you set up your buyer requirements in your store? Zero buyer requirements. That's how you maximize your traction. So I don't have any. Even though sometimes I get some scams in Russia, sometimes I don't. So I'm not worried about it. No buying restrictions. Ginger sells 99% clothing and shoes. You usually keep your store at 1,000 items and sell 12 a day. That is really high. Okay, so Ginger is in like the unicorn of clothing sellers, selling 360 items out of 1,000 per day as a 1,000 item store. That's very odd. I would say if I were to guess, I would say that store is mainly shoes or clothing under $20. I would guess, just from not knowing Ginger. Those would be the only two categories that have that kind of sell-through rate. Can Josh break out from his employer and start his own? That's a good question. I don't know, Josh. But Josh, if you're still in the chat, let us know. Can you work from home? Can you work 4 days a week? I'm going to guess no. If I'm paying you $150 an hour, you better get your ass to work and do exactly what I tell you to do. And that's probably why he doesn't like his job. But I'm not paying somebody $300K a year to live their passion. They're going to work for me. That's a lot of money. Christian's asking, what are some key details a seller should know when selling clothing? Measurements. Guys, let me know what is important for selling clothing. Measurements, cheap shipping, accurate photos, return policy. Like my wife is a young professional. She won't shop on Poshmark because there's no returns. She's like, why would I waste my time? There's plenty of other websites where there are returns. So I don't have to worry about it. If it doesn't fit, I don't want it. So it makes sense to me. I think Poshmark would explode if they offered returns. The hobby sellers would cry because they don't want returns, but the business people would be like, great, more sales. That's going to outweigh the slightly more returns that I have because of size. Slice Keeper says, I make more than my hourly job as a part-time reseller because of hard goods. Oh, I mean, he or she sells mostly hard goods. Should I be organizing and pre-packing? Yeah, if you are in a situation right now where you can't work your day job, it's a good time to really improve your resale hustle. Get it going. But I recommend reselling as a secondary income for most people. No, Ginger, I'm saying 12 a day is 360 sales a month out of 1,000. That you're literally a unicorn. Like there's only I can count how many stores I know that sell 30% of their store per month. That's obscenely high for clothing. It's ridiculous. That's like, I would be curious what sells in your store, but I would guess it's either mainly shoes or stuff that's under $20 on average. Ginger, what's your Instagram? Let's see. What's my eBay sales volume versus other platforms? My profit margin is lower on eBay versus other platforms, but overall profit's very high. Yeah, so this is the thing. So Josh says that he works 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. But the thing is, like that's the trade-off that you make if you want to make 300 grand a year. It's not a 9 to 5. There's no 9 to 5s that make 300 grand a year. It's more like 9 to 9 minimum. Let's see. So here's a question. Or here's a thought, Josh. My ex made $40,000 a month. What is that? That's $480,000 a year, right? She worked from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. every single day. 6 days, or not every day, sorry, 6 days a week, 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 hours a day for 6 days a week. She made ungodly amounts of money, okay? For her, shopping at like Saks Fifth Avenue or like Bloomingdale's or something was like 10 grand. She would go shopping, she would spend 10 grand. It would be nothing. It wouldn't even affect her because each paycheck is more than $10,000. It's like nothing to her. Her apartment was $9,000 a month. Any car she wanted, anything she wanted. She worked from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. This is how crazy this was. So I was trying to date her. So it was like, let's see, I got all of the one day with her. And then sometimes we would get a drink. Sometimes we would have lunch. And you know what? I don't know if I would say she didn't hate it, but she now no longer does that. Now she's married with a kid and doesn't work anymore. So I think maybe it burns you out, but you can make a killing for a few years. That made her a millionaire before she was 30. So I guess it just depends on what your goals are. For her, she didn't even really have time to spend anything. It's just, that's insane. Let me look at Ginger's Instagram. Ginger Marvin. Catherine. Wow, lots of followers. Oh. Ginger, I wonder if, I'm going to follow you today. Colorado. Ginger, I wonder, do you have any help? Does your husband help with your business? Ginger's killing it, everybody. Or Catherine, rather. Follow Ginger Martin on Instagram. Average selling price is $21. Yeah, that sounds right. That would be my guess. Eric says, do I pay for promoted eBay listings? Yes. I pay between 0 and 7% promoted listings. I have one item that's 100% promoted listings. I have a secret strategy with that I'm not going to talk about. Obviously, I lose money on that, right? Because the item, I'm not going to tell you how much it is so you can't find it. But there's an item in my store that sells over and over and over again that's 100% promoted listings. So the final value fee is 100% of the sale. So let's say it's $20. I pay a $20 eBay fee on that item. There's a very specific reason why I'm doing it, though. So it depends. Use promoted listings for a different purpose on every single item. Some items, you don't need it. You don't need, let's say you're selling a Patagonia Better sweater. Don't need to do promoted listings on that. It's going to sell no matter what. Unless you're priced incorrectly, it will sell without promoted listings. It's just too popular. Too many people want that sweater. Awesome. So he helps by watching the kids and making food. Awesome. Very, very awesome. I'm a big fan of shared responsibility. I think people think that that's dumb, but I just copied Navy SEAL Jocko Willink. His strategy for running his family is awesome. You write down all the tasks and then you assign it. So it's like, okay, make sandwiches, wife. Make dinner, husband. Take out the trash, husband, whatever. You make all those things down. And then if you look at the list and it's not done, you just do it. Whichever the person you are. And I think that that's awesome. That makes sense because, a family is two people. You do what you can. What's up, Josh? Thank you for joining. Good question. So Crown Vapor, I personally do not drop ship because of this issue. The reason why I don't drop ship is I can't confirm the quantity on the other website. So I would just put 9 for me personally. I would put the quantity as 9 and then check my store once an hour the whole day. Hire a VA to do that personally if I was drop shipping. Interesting. So Ginger does 1% the first month, 2% after the first month. 35 to 40% of her sales are, let me see. I'm curious. What percentage of my sales are promoted listings? Let me look. Okay. Promoted listings. Right now, my percentage of sales of promoted listings are 5,000 this month out of 29,000. What is that? 17% of my sales are promoted listings. Interesting. So maybe you guys let us know in the chat what percentage of your sales are promoted listings. Of my sales are promoted listings. What's up, Alejandro? Yeah, I would say 1% is a good model for most people. But 0% is recommended from me. Most people who are reselling are just getting started. So don't pay eBay until you understand what it is you're paying for. That's just my personal opinion. Eric is asking if I recommend forming an LLC. Depends on your goal. How much money do you want to make? If you're making over 80K a year, I'd say do an S corp. I'm not a tax professional, so consider this entertainment and not actual tax advice. I recommend talking to Mark, not your dad's CPA. He is a reseller CPA. I have his tax course in the description below. You should at least read Reseller Finance. It's $20. It's a no-brainer. That's going to give you the advice that you need depending on what size you are, whether you should get an LLC or not. Any free tax software for tracking sales tax? Why do people want free software? Why are you? But yeah, I get you. Maybe you're trying to save cash. But usually free sucks. From my experience. You want to make 50K per year profit, then I'd talk to a CPA for under $1,000 and set it up. So if you want to make, it's a really, really cheap. Really, really cheap investment. Some banks prefer you have an LLC to open a business account. Yeah, that's true. You don't have to, though. You can just use your social to open a business account. Mess Hall Diggs is awesome, guys. Follow him. He has a YouTube channel. He's awesome. I think he has 4 kids and built up a resale business started with $60 and built up a business on the side. He's almost retired, military vet, killing it. But again, if you just reinvest 100% of your profit, it grows so fast. Okay. Okay, look at this. Let's put this in the chat. And everyone smash the like button. But $1,500 a week savings for 10 years at 6 to 7% is $1 million. That's amazing. Okay, I wish they had taught me that when I was like 8 years old, because almost everyone can learn how to make $1,500 a week. That's $37 an hour times busting your ass 80 hours a week. Everyone can do that. I believe most of the people in the chat can figure out how to make $37 an hour busting your ass somehow. Right? Somewhere, someplace, some skill you can get good at to get to that level, right? And if I knew that when I was 10, right, I could have just lived at home instead of, maybe I would have still gone to college, but I would have thought about this $1,500 a week concept, because that's not that long. That means that most people can retire in 10 years, right? As long as you are frugal. So again, I wish I had known that a long time ago. So that's a good goal that's my personal savings goal, is a minimum of that every single week, because that means in 10 years that's $1 million. So that is the thing. But again, guys, I'm gonna hop off. I just wanted to say hello, let everyone know. Hope everyone is safe out there. Quarantine should end this week. Right? So let me know in the chat if you guys think it will be extended. I think a lot of stuff is going to start opening up next week, which is exciting. But people are spending stimulus money right now. So get everything listed, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.